The maitre d's sneer sliced through the hum of the upscale restaurant like a knife through silk. Amara Cole, billionaire tech mogul, stood at the entrance of Lucille Etoile, her tailored suit as sharp as her resolve, only to be told her reservation didn't exist. Beside her, Elise Harper's hand tightened on hers, a silent anchor in the storm of humiliation brewing in Amara's chest. It wasn't just the rejection, it was the way the man's eyes lingered on their joined hands, the way his lips curled as if their love was a stain on his pristine dining room. Amara, 32, had built an empire from nothing, her coding genius revolutionizing AI for healthcare. She faced boardroom battles and tech bro skepticism. But this was personal. Elise, her partner of 3 years, a 30-year-old environmental lawyer with a quiet fire, leaned in. "We don't need this place," she whispered, her voice steady but laced with fury. But Amara's jaw set. She wasn't leaving without a fight. Lucille Etoile was New York's culinary crown jewel, a Michelin-starred beacon of exclusivity in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Chef Julian Moreau was a legend, his dishes whispered about in reverent tones. Amara had chosen it for their anniversary, a rare night to celebrate their love amidst her relentless schedule. She'd booked weeks in advance, confirmed twice, even spoken to the manager. Yet here they were, turned away like uninvited guests. The excuse was flimsy overbooking, a system error, but the subtext was clear. Amara's blackness, their queerness, didn't fit Lucille's polished image. The dining room buzzed behind the glass doors, chandeliers casting a golden glow over white tablecloths and wealthy patrons. Amara caught glimpses of faces mostly white, mostly straight sipping wine, oblivious to the scene at the entrance. The maitre d', a wiry man named Paul with a French accent as crisp as his suit, gestured toward the door. "I'm terribly sorry, madam," he said, not sounding sorry at all. "Perhaps another establishment would suit you better." Elise stepped forward, her blonde hair catching the light. "This is discrimination," she said, her lawyer's edge cutting through the pleasantries. "We have a confirmed reservation. You can't just—" Paul raised a hand, dismissing her. "No scene, please. It's policy." Amara's pulse pounded. Policy. A word that hid 1,000 sins. She'd heard it before when she was a kid in Chicago's South Side, when she pitched her startup to venture capitalists who saw only her skin, not her vision. But she wasn't that kid anymore. She pulled out her phone, her fingers steady despite the rage simmering beneath. "I'm calling your manager," she said, her voice low, controlled. Paul's smirk faltered, but only for a second. "As you wish," he said, stepping back to let them stew. Amara dialed, her eyes locked on his. The manager, a woman named Claire, arrived, her smile as thin as the menu she clutched. "I'm so sorry for the mix-up," Claire said, her tone rehearsed. "We're fully booked tonight. Perhaps we can reschedule." Amara didn't buy it. She'd seen this dance before: polite deflections, coded rejections. "I want to speak to Julian Moreau," she said, naming the chef himself. Claire's eyes widened, but she recovered quickly. "Chef Moreau is unavailable. He's in the kitchen." Amara's lips curved. Not a smile but a challenge. "Then get him out here." The standoff drew eyes. Patrons glanced over. Forks paused mid-bite. Amara felt the weight of their stares, the familiar sting of being othered. Elise's hand found hers again, grounding her. "We can go," Elise murmured, her green eyes searching Amara's. "We don't need to prove anything to these people." But Amara shook her head. "I'm not running," she said. "Not tonight." Claire hesitated, then disappeared into the kitchen. Minutes ticked by, the restaurant's hum resuming as if nothing had happened. Amara stood tall, her presence a quiet rebellion. She thought of her mother, who'd worked double shifts to send her to coding camp, Who'd told her? Never let them make you small. She thought of Elise, who'd fought her own battles coming out to a conservative family, carving her place in a cutthroat legal world. They'd built a life together, a love that defied odds. This restaurant, this moment, wouldn't break them. When Claire returned, Julien Moreau was with her. The chef was a tall man in his late 40s. His chef's whites pristine. His face a mask of professional calm. Ms. Cole, I understand there's an issue, he said. His French accent softer than Paul's but no less guarded. Amara didn't flinch. The issue, she said, is that your staff is turning us away because of who we are. Moreau's brow furrowed, but his eyes flicked to their joined hands, and Amara caught the flicker of discomfort. That's not our policy, he said smoothly. It's a simple error. Then fix it, Amara said, her voice steel. Seat us. Now. Moreau glanced at Claire, then back at Amara. For a moment, she thought he might relent. But then he said, I'm afraid we're at capacity. I can offer you a complimentary reservation another night. Amara's chest tightened. Another deflection. Another excuse. She could walk away. Let it go. Take Elise to a dive bar and laugh it off. But something in her snapped. She turned to Elise, her voice low. We're not done here. Elise's eyes sparkled with a mix of worry and pride. I know, she said. Amara looked back at Moreau. Her decision made. You'll regret this, she said. Not a threat but a promise. She took Elise's hand, and they walked out into the New York night, the city's pulse thrumming around them. Amara's mind was already racing, plotting. She'd built $1 billion company from code and grit. Shaming a restaurant. That was child's play. Back at their Tribeca loft, Amara paced the hardwood floor, her heels clicking like a metronome. The city skyline glittered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, a reminder of her triumphs. But tonight it felt like a taunt. Elise sat on the couch, her laptop open, her fingers flying across the keyboard. I'm pulling everything I can on Lucille, she said, her voice calm but focused. Reviews, employee records, anything that smells like a pattern. Amara stopped pacing, her eyes narrowing. They're not getting away with this, she said. Not after that performance. The memory of Paul's sneer, Claire's fake apology, and Moreau's dismissive tone burned in her chest. She'd faced prejudice before venture capitalists who'd underestimated her. Tech conferences where she was the only black woman in the room, but this was different. This was her life. Her love. Laid bare and rejected. She wouldn't let it stand. Elise looked up, her expression softening. I know you're angry, she said. I am too. But we need a plan. Not just a reaction. Amara nodded, her mind already spinning. Elise was right, she always was. Amara's strength was strategy, not impulse. She'd built her company, Coltech, by outsmarting competitors, not outshouting them. Lucille would be no different. She sank onto the couch beside Elise, their shoulders brushing. What do we have? She asked. Elise turned her laptop, showing a spreadsheet of data she'd scraped from review sites and social media. Lucille's got a history, she said. Subtle complaints, black diners seated in corners. Queer couples getting overbooked, excuses. Nothing blatant enough for a lawsuit. But it's there. Amara's lips pressed into a thin line. A pattern, she said. That's something we can work with. Elise hesitated, then reached for Amara's hand. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked. We could let it go. Celebrate our anniversary somewhere else. You don't have to fight every battle. Amara met her gaze, her heart swelling. Elise was her rock, always knowing when to push, when to pull back. But this wasn't just about them. It was about every person who'd been turned away, made to feel less than. I'm sure. Amara said. This isn't just our fight. The next morning, Amara called her team at Coltech. Her CEO, Malik, a 35-year-old black man who'd been with her since the startup days, answered on the first ring. What's the play, boss? He asked. His voice bright despite the early hour. Amara laid it out. She wanted dirt on Lucille. Anything to expose their bias. Malik didn't hesitate. I'm on it. Give me 48 hours. Amara trusted him implicitly. Malik had a knack for finding needles in digital haystacks. While Malik dug, Amara and Elise worked their own angles. Elise reached out to her legal contacts, digging into Lucille's business filings and health inspections. Amara tapped her network of tech influencers, subtly planting questions about the restaurant's inclusivity on social media. By noon, Lucille Gate was trending on X, with users sharing stories of similar rejections. This is bigger than us, Elise said, scrolling through the posts. Amara nodded, but her focus was sharper now. She wasn't just exposing Lucille, she was going to dismantle their reputation. That evening, Amara met with her PR team, led by Sarah, a sharp-witted 40-year-old who'd turned Coltech into a household name. We need to control the narrative, Sarah said, her pen tapping her notepad. You go public. It's you against a Michelin star. They'll spin it as a misunderstanding. Amara leaned forward. Then we make it undeniable, she said. I want evidence, testimonials, footage, anything that shows their bias for what it is. Sarah suggested a sting operation. Send in testers, diverse couples, different races, different orientations. Record everything. Amara liked it. It was bold, precise, her kind of move. She greenlit the plan, and Sarah got to work coordinating with activists and influencers willing to play along. Meanwhile, Malik called with a lead, a former Lucille employee. A black server named Jamal had been fired after calling out racist table assignments. He's willing to talk, Malik said. But he's scared. Needs reassurance. Amara met Jamal at a quiet Brooklyn cafe the next day. He was in his late 20s, wiry, with a nervous energy that eased when Amara introduced herself. I know who you are, he said, his voice low. Coltech changed my sister's life. Your AI caught her cancer early. Amara's throat tightened. Moments like this reminded her why she fought. Jamal shared his story. Lucille's management had a look. They prioritized white, wealthy, straight, black diners were often seated near the kitchen. Queer couples were discouraged with fake waitlists. I spoke up, Jamal said. They fired me the next day. Amara listened, her anger crystallizing into resolve. Will you go public? She asked. Jamal hesitated, then nodded. For you. Yeah. She thanked him, promising legal support from Elise if he faced backlash. As she left the cafe, her phone buzzed with a text from Elise. Found something big. Call me. Amara's pulse quickened. The pieces were falling into place. Back home, Elise showed her a leaked email from Claire to Paul, obtained through a contact in the restaurant's IT department. It instructed staff to prioritize certain demographics to maintain Lucille's brand image. It was damning, but not enough on its own. Amara needed more, something public, undeniable. She and Elise stayed up late, plotting their next move. The sting operation was set for the weekend, with testers ready to document every interaction. Amara felt the weight of it all, the risk, the stakes, but also the thrill. She was in her element, outsmarting an opponent who'd underestimated her. As they lay in bed that night, Elise's head on her shoulder, Amara whispered, We're going to win this. Elise kissed her softly. I know, she said. But whatever happens, we have each other. Amara held her tighter, her heart full. This fight wasn't just about justice, it was about proving their love was unstoppable. Saturday night pulsed with anticipation as Amara and Elise orchestrated their plan from a discreet corner of a midtown hotel. The sting operation was in motion, 5 couples, diverse in race and orientation, each armed with hidden cameras and confirmed reservations at Lucille Etoile. Amara's tech team had rigged the devices to stream live to a secure server, ensuring every word, every sneer, would be captured. Elise monitored the feeds on her laptop, her expression taut. "This has to work," she said, more to herself than Amara. Amara squeezed her hand. "It will." Her confidence wasn't bravadoshed run simulations like this in her head 1,000 times. Debugging code. Outmaneuvering rivals. Lucille was just another system to crack. But the stakes felt higher now. Personal. She glanced at the live feeds. A black gay couple. A Latina lesbian pair. An Asian straight couple. And 2 others. All entering the restaurant at staggered intervals. Each had been briefed to stay calm, polite, and persistent. The first couple, Marcus and James, hit resistance immediately. Paul, the maitre d', delivered the same scripted excuse. "I'm afraid your reservation isn't in our system." Marcus, a 34-year-old architect, pressed gently, showing his confirmation email. Paul's smile tightened, his eyes darting to their joined hands. "We're fully booked," he said, gesturing toward the door. The camera caught it all, the subtle recoil, the dismissive tone. Amara's jaw clenched. "Got you," she muttered. The second couple, Sophia and Elena, fared no better. Sophia, a 29-year-old journalist, asked for the manager. Claire appeared, her smile as brittle as before, offering the same overbooking excuse. The pattern was clear, and the footage was gold. By the time the third couple was turned away, Lucille Gate was exploding on X, with influencers amplifying the testers' live-tweeted experiences. Amara's phone buzzed with notifications, but she stayed focused. This was only the beginning. Elise leaned closer, her eyes on the screen. "They're consistent," she said. "Same excuses, same body language. It's systemic." Amara nodded, her mind racing. The leaked email, Jamal's testimony, and now this footage was a trifecta of evidence. But she needed to tie it to Julien Moreau himself. He was the restaurant's soul, Michelin star. If she could expose his complicity, Lucille's reputation would crumble. Malik called with an update. "I've got something," he said, his voice electric. "A source in the kitchen says Moreau personally approves the front-of-house policies. He's in on it." Amara's pulse surged. "Can they go on record?" she asked. Malik hesitated. "They're scared in disclosure agreements. But I'm working on it." Amara trusted him to deliver. Malik always did. By midnight, the sting was complete. All 5 couples had been rejected, their footage uploaded and edited into a tight, damning montage by Sarah's team. Amara and Elise watched the final cut, Paul's sneers, Claire's deflections, the pattern of exclusion laid bare. The video ended with a clip of Amara and Elise being turned away on their anniversary, their faces resolute but raw. Amara's voiceover closed it. "This isn't just about us. It's about every person told they don't belong." Sarah pushed the video live on X, YouTube, and every major platform, tagged with Lucille Gate. Within hours, it had millions of views. Comments flooded in outrage, support, stories from others who'd faced similar treatment. Amara felt a strange mix of triumph and exhaustion. She'd exposed Lucille, but the fight wasn't over. The restaurant's PR team was already spinning, claiming the rejections were unfortunate errors. Amara wasn't surprised. She'd expected pushback. The next morning, Lucille issued a statement, signed by Moreau himself. "We deeply regret any misunderstanding and are committed to inclusivity." It was polished, predictable, and utterly hollow. Amara read it aloud to Elise. her voice dripping with disdain. They think they can smooth this over, she said. Elise's eyes gleamed with determination. Then we hit harder. Elise had been digging deeper into Lucille's financials, uncovering ties to a conservative investment group known for funding traditional values initiatives. It wasn't direct proof of discrimination, but it raised questions about the restaurant's priorities. If we can link this to their policies, Elise said, it's another nail in the coffin. Amara agreed. They needed to keep the pressure on, keep the public engaged. Amara called a meeting with her team and key allies Malik, Sarah, Jamal, and a few trusted influencers. They gathered in Kolteka's sleek conference room, the city skyline framing their resolve. We're not stopping at a viral video, Amara said. We're going to make them change. The plan was multifaceted: a boycott campaign, a petition for Michelin to review Lucille's star, and a public event to amplify the voices of those rejected. Jamal agreed to speak at the event, his courage bolstered by Amara's support. As the meeting wrapped, Elise pulled Amara aside. You're carrying a lot, she said softly, her hand brushing Amara's cheek. Are you okay? Amara exhaled, her shoulders sagging. I'm angry, she admitted. But I'm not alone. That's what keeps me going. Elise smiled, her eyes warm. You're never alone, she said, pulling Amara into a hug. For a moment, the world was just them two women against an unjust system, their love a quiet rebellion. That night, Amara dreamed of her mother, her voice echoing, never let them make you small. She woke with renewed fire. Lucille thought they could outlast the storm. They were wrong. The boycott hit Lucille Etoile like a tidal wave. By Monday morning, reservations plummeted, and picketers lined the street outside the restaurant. Their signs bold, no hate on our plate, and Lucille discriminates. Amara watched the live stream from her office, her heart pounding with a mix of pride and nerves. The viral video had ignited a movement, and Lucille Gate was now a national conversation. But Amara knew movements could fade. She needed to keep the pressure on. Elise was at the forefront, organizing the picket with a coalition of activists. Her blonde hair was pulled back, her face fierce as she spoke to reporters. This isn't just about one night, she said, her voice carrying over the crowd. It's about systemic exclusion in spaces that claim to be elite. Amara watched her partner command the scene, her love deepening with every word. Elise wasn't just fighting for them, she was fighting for everyone. Inside Lucille, the mood was chaos. Amara's tech team had intercepted internal emails, Claire panicking, Paul blaming overzealous staff, and Moreau demanding a crisis meeting. The chef's polished facade was cracking. Amara smiled grimly as she read the leaks. They're scrambling, she told Malik, who was monitoring social media. Good, he said. But they're not done yet. Moreau's got connections, Michelin. Investors. They'll try to bury this. Amara nodded. She'd anticipated resistance. Her next move was the public event, scheduled for Friday outside Lucille. Jamal would speak, along with others who'd shared their stories on X. Sarah was working overtime, securing media coverage and influencers to amplify the event. But Amara wanted more than a spectacle, she wanted accountability. She reached out to a contact at Michelin, a senior editor named Laura who'd once interviewed her for a tech feature. I need to know how they award stars, Amara said. Laura was cautious but intrigued. It's about excellence, she said. But reputation matters. If Lucille's tainted, could trigger a review. That gave Amara an idea. She tasked Malik with digging into Michelin's process, looking for leverage. Meanwhile, Elise uncovered a bombshell. Lucille's parent company had ties to a lobbying group that opposed anti-discrimination laws. It wasn't direct proof of bias, but it was close. If we can tie this to Moreau, Elise said, it's game over. Amara agreed, but they needed concrete evidence. Something to pin the chef himself. The week blurred into strategy sessions and late-night planning. Amara and Elise barely slept. Their loft a war room of laptops and coffee cups. But every touch, every glance, grounded them. One night, as they collapsed onto the couch, Elise traced Amara's jaw with her finger. "You're incredible," she said. "You know that." Amara laughed softly. "Says the woman who's out here changing the world." Elise's smile was tired but radiant. "We're changing it together." Friday arrived. Crisp and electric. The event outside Lucille drew hundreds of activists, allies, and curious New Yorkers. Amara stood at the podium, her presence commanding, her suit as sharp as her words. "This isn't about one restaurant," she said, her voice echoing through the speakers. "It's about who gets to belong." Jamal spoke next, his story raw and powerful, detailing his firing and Lucille's discriminatory practices. The crowd roared, their signs waving like a sea of defiance. Elise took the stage last, her lawyer's precision cutting through the emotion. She presented the leaked email, the sting footage, and the financial ties, laying out the case like a courtroom closing. "Lucille Etoile isn't just a restaurant," she said. "It's a symbol of exclusion, and we're tearing that down." The crowd erupted, and Amara's chest swelled with pride. Elise was her partner, her equal, her fire. The event made headlines, from the New York Times to CNN. Lucille's bookings tanked further, and whispers of a Michelin investigation began to circulate. But Moreau wasn't silent. He released a video, his face somber, claiming he was unaware of any bias and promising an internal review. Amara watched it with Elise, her eyes narrowing. "He's lying," she said. Elise nodded. "We need someone inside to confirm it." That someone came unexpectedly. A current Lucille employee, a line cook named Maria, reached out through a burner email. She'd seen the event, heard Jamal's story, and wanted to help. "Moreau knows," she wrote. "He sets the tone. I've heard him complain about certain clientele ruining the vibe." Amara's heart raced. This was the link they needed. She arranged a discreet meeting with Maria, promising anonymity and protection. Maria met them in a Queen's diner, her hands trembling as she spoke. "Moreau's obsessed with image," she said. "He told us to keep the dining room elegant code for white, straight, rich." She had no recordings, but her testimony was gold. Amara and Elise worked with Sarah to corroborate it, reaching out to other employees. 2 more came forward, their stories aligning. The net was tightening. As the week ended, Amara felt the tide turning. The boycott was working, the media was relentless, and Michelin was under pressure. But she wasn't naive. Lucille had deep pockets and deeper connections. The fight was far from over. Still, as she and Elise stood on their balcony, the city sprawling below, Amara felt a quiet certainty. They were rewriting the rules. Together. The fallout from the public event was seismic. Lucille Etoile's pristine reputation was in tatters, its name synonymous with scandal. Amara's phone buzzed with updates, major sponsors pulling out, influencers canceling partnerships, and a flood of negative reviews tanking the restaurant's ratings. But Amara wasn't celebrating yet. Julien Moreau was still standing, his video apology gaining sympathy from a small but vocal group of defenders. She needed to land the final blow. Elise was relentless, working with her legal team to draft a formal complaint to Michelin, citing the sting footage, employee testimonies, and the leaked email. "If we can get them to strip Lucille's star," she said, "it's a death sentence for their brand." Amara nodded, her mind already on the next step. She'd learned early in her career, never stop at exposure. You had to reshape the system. Malik delivered the breakthrough they needed. His team had hacked into an old server used by Lucille's management, uncovering a trove of internal communications. Among them was a memo from Moreau himself, dated a year prior, instructing staff to curate the dining experience by prioritizing traditional clientele. The language was coded but unmistakable. Amara read it aloud to Elise, her voice trembling with triumph. "This is it," she said. "He's done." They moved fast. Sarah packaged the memo with Maria's testimony and the sting footage, creating a second viral video. This one was surgical, opening with Moreau's apology clip, then cutting to his memo, the sting rejections, and Maria's voiceover describing his directives. The video ended with Amara's face, her eyes fierce. "We're not just calling out hate. We're ending it." It hit the internet like a bomb, racking up 10 million views in 24 hours. Lucille's response was frantic. Moreau issued a second statement, claiming the memo was misinterpreted. But the public wasn't buying it. Protesters returned, their numbers swelling. Amara and Elise joined them, standing arm in arm as cameras flashed. A reporter asked Amara why she'd taken on this fight. "Because no one gets to tell us we don't belong," she said, her voice steady. "Not in love. Not in life. Not anywhere." Behind the scenes, Amara's contact at Michelin, Laura, confirmed the organization was reviewing Lucille's star. "This doesn't happen often," she said. "But the evidence is overwhelming." Amara thanked her, but her focus was already shifting. She didn't just want Lucille humbled, she wanted it transformed. She reached out to a friend, a black chef named Aisha, who ran a celebrated pop-up restaurant in Brooklyn. "What if we didn't just shut them down?" Amara said. "What if we took over?" Aisha was intrigued but skeptical. "Take over a Michelin star place? That's a big swing." Amara grinned. "I don't swing small." The idea was audacious by Lucille's lease. Rebrand it and turn it into a beacon of inclusivity. Aisha's culinary genius, paired with Amara's resources, could make it work. Elise loved the idea, her eyes lighting up. "It's not just revenge," she said. "It's redemption." They started quietly, with Amara's financial team analyzing Lucille's parent company. The boycott and bad press had weakened its stock, making it vulnerable. Amara had the capital to make a move, but she needed allies. She reached out to investors she worked with at Coltec, pitching the vision, a restaurant that celebrated diversity, led by Aisha, with a mission to redefine fine dining. Several signed on, drawn by the cause and the buzz. Meanwhile, Elise kept the legal pressure on, filing a discrimination lawsuit against Lucille on behalf of the Sting couples and Jamal. The lawsuit wasn't just symbolic, it was a signal to the industry that exclusion had consequences. Elise's courtroom presence was electric, her arguments airtight. Amara watched her in action, her heart swelling. Elise wasn't just her partner, she was a force. By week's end, Lucille was on its knees. Moreau announced he was stepping back, citing personal reasons. But the truth was clear. He was running. The restaurant's parent company was open to acquisition talks, their hand forced by the financial hemorrhage. Amara and Aisha met with their board, presenting a vision for a new restaurant, Unity Table, a place where every diner belonged. The board was hesitant, but Amara's reputation and her checkbook sealed the deal. As negotiations began, Amara and Elise took a rare moment to breathe. They walked through Central Park, the autumn leaves crunching underfoot. "We're really doing this," Elise said, her voice soft with wonder. Amara squeezed her hand. "We're not just doing it," she said. "We're winning." Elise laughed, pulling Amara into a kiss. The world felt lighter, their love a quiet triumph amidst the chaos. But Amara knew the fight wasn't over. Taking over Lucille was one thing, rebuilding it was another. She was ready. The acquisition of Lucille Etoile's lease was finalized in a sleek Manhattan boardroom, the air thick with tension. Amara sat across from the parent company's executives, her posture unyielding. Her eyes locked on theirs. Beside her, Aisha radiated quiet confidence, her chef's resume speaking louder than any words. The deal was done in hours. Amara's capital and Aisha's vision were too compelling to resist. Lucille would close, and Unity Table would rise in its place. The transition was a whirlwind. Amara and Aisha worked around the clock, gutting the restaurant's dated opulence and designing a space that felt warm, vibrant, inclusive. The chandeliers were replaced with modern fixtures, the walls adorned with art from local Black and queer artists. Aisha crafted a menu that blended her southern roots with global flavors, each dish a celebration of diversity. Amara oversaw the tech integration, AI-driven reservations to ensure fairness, cameras to deter bias. This wasn't just a restaurant, it was a statement. Elise was the legal backbone, negotiating contracts and ensuring the new staff were trained in inclusivity. She also pushed the lawsuit forward, securing settlements for Jamal and the Sting couples. This sets a precedent, she told Amara, her eyes bright with purpose. Other restaurants will think twice now. Amara nodded, her respect for Elise deepening. They were rewriting the rules of an industry, together. The opening of Unity Table was set for a crisp November evening, exactly 2 months after Amara and Elise were turned away from Lucille. The guest list was a who's who of activists, influencers, and allies, with media buzzing like moths to a flame. Amara and Aisha stood at the entrance, greeting diners as they arrived. The crowd was diverse: Black, white, queer, straight, young, old, each face a testament to their vision. Jamal was there, now a manager at Unity Table, his smile wide as he welcomed guests. Inside, the atmosphere was electric. Tables were packed, laughter mingling with the clink of glasses. Aisha's dishes: jerk spiced duck, vegan okra gumbo, miso glazed cod, drew gasps of delight. Amara moved through the room, her heart full, her suit as sharp as ever. Elise was by her side, radiant in a deep blue dress, her hand brushing Amara's. "We did this," Elise whispered. Amara squeezed her hand. "We're just getting started." The night wasn't without hiccups. A few former Lucille patrons showed up, their faces sour, muttering about standards. Amara handled them with grace, offering a tour and a complimentary dish. Most softened. Few left. She didn't care. Unity Table wasn't for them, it was for everyone else. The real test came when Laura from Michelin arrived, her notebook in hand. Amara greeted her personally, her confidence unshaken. "Taste the food," she said. "Feel the room. This is what fine dining should be." Laura's review, published a week later, was glowing. "Unity Table redefines excellence," she wrote, blending culinary mastery with a bold commitment to inclusion. The article hinted at Michelin's ongoing review of Lucille's star, now irrelevant since the restaurant was gone. Amara framed the review, hanging it in her office beside a photo of her and Elise from the opening night, their smiles fierce and triumphant. But the fight wasn't over. Amara and Elise knew one restaurant couldn't change an industry. They launched a foundation, Unity Fund, to support minority-owned restaurants and train diverse chefs. Aisha became its ambassador, mentoring young talent like Jamal. The foundation's first event, a citywide food festival, drew thousands, with Unity Table as its centerpiece. Amara spoke at the closing, her voice carrying over the crowd. "This is about more than food. It's about who gets a seat at the table." Back home, Amara and Elise collapsed onto their couch, the city quiet outside their windows. The past months had tested them: sleepless nights, public scrutiny, the weight of leading a movement. But it had also strengthened them. Elise rested her head on Amara's shoulder, her voice soft. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Of us." Amara kissed her forehead, her heart steady. "We're unstoppable," she said. The next morning, Amara woke to an email from a major investor, proposing a chain of Unity tables across the country. She showed it to Elise, her eyes gleaming. "What do you think?" she asked. Elise grinned. "I think we're just getting started." They laughed, the sound filling their loft, a promise of battles yet to come. A year later, Unity Table was more than a restaurant, it was a movement. Its success had sparked a wave of change, with other fine dining establishments rethinking their policies under public scrutiny. Amara and Elise stood at the forefront, their love and resolve a beacon for others. The Unity Fund had grown, funding 10 new minority-owned restaurants and training dozens of chefs. But for Amara, the real victory was personal. Every night, Unity Table's doors opened to everyone. No exceptions. The anniversary of their rejection from Lucille Etoile arrived, and Amara and Elise returned to Unity Table to celebrate. The restaurant hummed with life, its tables filled with diners from every walk of life. Aisha was in the kitchen, her laughter echoing as she plated her latest creation. Jamal, now thriving as a manager, greeted them with a hug. "You changed everything," he said, his eyes bright. Amara smiled, her hand in Elise's. "We all did." They sat at a corner table, the same spot where they would have been relegated at Lucille. Aisha sent out a special dish, braised short ribs with a harissa glaze, a nod to Amara's Chicago roots and Elise's love of spice. As they ate, Amara reflected on the journey. The fight had been brutal: late nights, public attacks, the weight of being a symbol. But it had also been beautiful. She looked at Elise, her partner, her equal, and felt a gratitude that ran deeper than words. Elise raised her glass, her green eyes sparkling. "To us," she said. "To love, to justice, to never backing down." Amara clinked her glass, her voice soft but firm. "To rewriting the rules." They drank, the wine warm, the moment theirs. Around them, Unity Table buzzed, a living testament to their fight. Diners laughed, servers moved with purpose, and the air was thick with possibility. The night ended with a surprise. Aisha emerged from the kitchen, carrying a small cake adorned with 2 candles, one for Amara, one for Elise. The staff gathered, singing softly, their faces a mosaic of backgrounds and stories. Amara's throat tightened as she blew out her candle, Elise's hand steady in hers. This was what they'd fought for, a world where everyone had a place. As they left, a young couple approached, a Black woman and her Latina partner, their hands clasped. "Thank you," the woman said, her voice thick with emotion. "This place, it means everything to us." Amara's heart swelled. She squeezed Elise's hand, their eyes meeting in silent understanding. They'd built more than a restaurant, they'd built a home. Outside, the New York night was alive, the city's pulse a reminder of their power. Amara and Elise walked hand in hand, their steps light. The fight wasn't over, there were more battles, more systems to dismantle. But they were ready. Together, they were unstoppable, their love a force that could shame empires and build new ones. The stars above glittered, and Amara thought of her mother's words, "Never let them make you small." She hadn't. She never would. With Elise by her side, she'd rewritten the narrative, not just for them but for everyone who'd ever been told they didn't belong. Unity Table was proof love, resilience, and justice could change the world.